Hello, my name is Mrs. Jean Cano. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Kyrene Traditional Academy, and we have a lot of information to share with you.
Hi, I'm Courtney Mills. I am the other kindergarten teacher at KTA. Okay, so to get started, just a couple of morning drop-off procedures. So students arrive to school or they're allowed to arrive at school at 7 a.m. when the bell rings, and they will go directly to the playground. Anyone arriving 7:25 and later will enter through the A door and go directly to their classroom until 7:30, and that's when the late bell rings, and then all students that are late will go through the office for a tardy pass. Students can choose to eat breakfast in the cafeteria before school. That's an option starting at 7 a.m. They're, they will alternate playground areas at recess to lessen the amount of kids in all one location. There's duty teachers out there so that they monitor that. And then students will also be monitored as they eat in the lunchroom with their class. So that is talking about lunchtime, recess, and in the cafeteria at lunch. There'll always be somebody in there to monitor them. Expectations at KTA. So this is the same across campus. So for our 4Bs at KTA, we are respectful, responsible, safe, and kind. This is a chart that you will see posted around campus in your child's classroom, and it just has our expectations for what all those 4Bs mean. Obviously, you want them to be respectful in the classroom, using appropriate voice levels and raising hands. Being responsible means to be on time and be prepared and ready to learn. You obviously want them to be safe, keeping our hands and feet to ourselves, sitting in our chairs properly, using our pencils the right way, and then to be kind, to be a friend, to use kind words, to be an active listener, and then also to use manners, please, and thank you. So, if there is something that happens in the classroom regarding a behavior, this is the order that we kind of follow it in. So, if it's a first time thing, we always reteach the correct behavior and then we redirect. If it happens again, then we reteach and then we have a conversation. Sometimes that'll have a reflection seat in kindergarten that'll look a little bit different with pictures if there's time, or just conversation so that we can kind of process and figure out what happened. If the third time it happens, we always want to reteach that behavior. There will be a consequence and a call home. And then the fourth time is when administration would become involved if it's the same thing happening for 4 times in a row. In our classrooms, we have a behavior system that each of us follow. So students always start with a green card. They have a green card, a yellow card, and a red card. Every single day they start on green. Our goal is to end on green or to have a 3 on the homework behavior. Those go hand in hand. We don't expect perfection, but we want to maintain and to comply to reasonable requests and to make sure that we're listening, following directions. Behavior is marked each day on the homework log. So when you get your homework log agenda, you'll see that there's a 3, a 2, a 1, or a 0. And then that behavior score will be circled for whatever color it corresponds to. If you notice the 0, it says SPARK underneath it. SPARK stands for Student Preparation and Refocus Classroom. It's essentially KTA's lunch detention. So if there's a student that's making, maybe on that third offense of the same thing, SPARK possibly might be their consequence. And that's where they go into a classroom with our SPARK teacher, and it's during lunchtime when they're eating. So we don't take away their recess. We don't do that. We're not allowed to do that, nor would we want to. So they go when it's lunchtime, and they have to eat quiet lunch without their friends is what we tell them. For positive behavior, since we do follow our positive behavior system at school, students can earn tiger paws. They look like that one on the left with the tiger paw, and then middle school gets tiger stripes. So if you see some of those, sometimes teachers run out of tiger paws and give tiger stripes. But if you see those, make sure that they get back to school because we collect them. Each student has their own space for them. And if they get 25, then they get $1 to the school store, which is a big deal. Stickers, pencils, stamps, all kinds of fun things that they can buy with their dollar. In addition to this, we are going to be sending home behavior contracts quarterly, and then parents and students are expected to sign them, read through and sign them, so that they're committing to following the 4Bs at KTA. If a student receives more than 5 sparks or office referrals, then they might be at risk of not being able to participate in school things like assemblies, field trips, kind of like fun things that we might be doing in class around like holiday times and things like that. When students come in the morning, we always want them to have their backpack big enough to fit a folder, like a normal size backpack. They also have the option of having a lunchbox, a water bottle, and a snack. They should be able to empty their backpack without any assistance, without any prompting. They should just know the routine eventually when they come in. Their water bottle is allowed to be kept at their desk. They get their lunchbox out, they put it in the wagon, and then they take out their blue KTA folder that comes back and forth every day, and they put it in a safe spot in the classroom so that teachers can look at it and collect homework and do what they need to do with that. And then the students are expected to put backpacks away in cubbies. So it is quite a few steps, but they get into a really good routine. Lunch and snack times. We get a lot of questions about food in kindergarten. So for lunchtime, it is always a good idea to practice opening containers at home especially if they're bringing a lunch from home. Make sure that there's food in there that they're going to eat. So maybe let them help with the lunchbox prep. Talk about lunchtime and lunch routine. So that means, making sure that, okay, we're going to time you for 20 minutes maybe, and then this is all the time you have to eat. So make sure you're eating more and talking less, so that they have time to get all of their food. You feel free to pack a little treat, leave a note for your child. Don't just send a lunchbox full of candy. We might make them get a school lunch if that's the case. So just maybe one treat. And if you have any questions about what's for lunch, if you're somebody who is buying school lunch, then you can see the district menu, and that is online on Kyrene's website. Snack time is in the afternoon, and it is optional for students. So they don't have to bring a snack if they don't want to. We prefer healthier snacks like cheese sticks, crackers, fruits and veggies, pretzels. We really try to limit nuts just because of student allergies. You never know. So please, no snacks with peanut butter, almond butter, no nuts in them. No sugars. So please don't bring a donut for snack or a giant cookie because it can get crazy. They get excited and then they crash and then they're asleep an hour later. No drinks at snack time either, other than water. There's no drinks in the classroom besides water. And then if you could label snacks and keep them separated from lunches and lunch boxes, lots of times we open up a lunchbox and because it feels really light and it's just got one thing in it. And then the student thinks that that's their lunch and not their snack. So if we can keep them separated, that helps. Also, as a note down here, district policy states that there's no birthday treats on campus, so no food items, no cupcakes, no cookies. You can bring in like fun erasers or pencils or stickers, just they ask that we don't do food.
All right, this is the flow of our kindergarten day. This is a little snapshot of what we might do in a typical day. Students will come in, unpack as Mrs. Mills said in the prior slides. Then we also do some kind of a warm-up. So a warm-up might be practicing letter writing, practicing number writing, practicing name writing, just something that's kind of quick for them to get the mindset that we're going to start our academic day. Social emotional learning is something that the district does for all grade levels. And we want to make sure that our children are well adjusted, that they're comfortable in their environment, that they're able to project positive energy, and we want to make sure that they feel comfortable in the classroom. Extended learning is that opportunities for things like science and social studies and health. CKLA is our listening and speaking component. For kindergarten, that is where you will find most of our science and social studies curriculum embedded in it. There will be some take-home notes that you might see that'll give you some more information. In the program of Core Knowledge Language Arts that we're using, there are two strands. One of the strands is a skill strand, and we will use booklets that deal with like handwriting, preparation, and pictures, and letters and sounds. You will also note that we might be having students learn to hear the sounds and words and use some writing and handwriting skills that are compatible to make those relationships. Our primary focus at KTA is the listening and speaking component. That's when we try to build the students' vocabulary and their background knowledge through oral language experiences. So as part of the strand, students are going to listen to stories and nonfiction selections during read louds. Then we'll participate with discussions among each other, and then we'll complete some vocabulary work. Small group reading centers are opportunities in language arts and ELA that would involve small group work based on what a student's ability level is. It's easiest to group them that way. And then when we work on reading and book knowledge, we'll also be working on pre-writing strategies and those kinds of things in the morning. Then we break for recess. Kindergarten has recess just like other grade levels do before lunch. It starts at 9:35. We generally take a bathroom break beforehand so that the students can really focus on enjoying their play and then not having a last minute emergency before they have their lunch. At 9:55, they'll go into the cafeteria, and then that's where they'll stay and eat their lunch until 10:20. After we return to the classroom, we'll do some math activities with calendar and go right into our Spalding component. And I'll tell you a little bit more about Spalding in just a minute. Throughout the course of the day, we have specials every day. It might involve PE, music, art, library, Spanish, and we also have computer lab in addition to having one-to-one computers in our classroom. In the afternoon, we have small group math centers, another opportunity for us to have that independent focus group time with smaller groups of students. There usually is a Chromebook or a laptop center, a teacher-guided center, a game center on the floor for application and practice, and then an independent job at their desk, whole group math, and then we, after our busy day, we get ready to go home and share all the information that we had with our families. Spalding is the thing that I mentioned before. Since we're a traditional academy, we are the only school in the district that utilizes Spalding. Spalding is one of those that has daily oral phonogram practice. You will be provided some phonogram cards for use at home. You want to make sure you keep them in the same place. We are now starting Spalding as of this week. So students have already started to practice the letter O and knowing that it says A-O-U. Every day, we'll also have some written phonogram practice. For kindergarten, that starts a little bit later than it does in other grades because we're building up the use of the clock and handwriting strokes so that they can be successful at that. That will be something that you'll be receiving on a piece of paper at home when we start that. Grammar and language use is always something that we will include, as well as text structure and literary appreciation. Students will learn about narratives. They'll learn about informative narratives, and they'll learn about informative text. So not until we get around closer to November, that's when formal quizzes will start. Students will have 15 phonograms that they do every Friday, and dictation words range from 10 to 15 a week. You will always receive those in advance. Teachers and students will be working on them throughout the whole week in our spelling books that are used in class. Our notebooks are something that we keep in the classroom, and we won't share those with you until the end of the year, but they're always handy to have for review and practice over the summer. Writing, Spalding is very compatible with each other. But one thing we're going to ask you to do is be supportive of your student and not to spell words for your child. At the very beginning, when students are learning how to be writers, they're going to start with random numbers and random letters. So they have to make the discrimination between what's a number and a letter. They'll do letter strings usually. Then they'll start with beginning sounds. They'll work their way to beginning and ending sounds. And usually those medial vowels are the hardest for them to gather. So if you want to prompt them, if they've said something that seems really out there, that's great. Praise whatever efforts they have because it's very hard and very much a risk taking event for a kindergartner who wants to do their best. So it's okay if their writing looks different than grown up writing, and it will. So we will have letter charts that we use in class. We call them an ABC chart. A spacer is basically a tongue depressor that helps little hands make spaces between their words. There are 50 kindergarten sight words that we will work over the course of the year, and then you're just going to have to trust your brain on that brain power. So end of the year goals for students will be to write in a complete sentence with some support, and then for those that are a little bit more proficient, writing with greater supporting detail. Our math program consists of Ready Math. It's a wonderful program and it's all inclusive. We emphasize vocabulary, language, and having mathematic conversations with our peers, small group and whole group. It makes the connections across grade level units and lessons, so it's very much like a spiral. We will be analyzing data and solving problems in more than one way. So even starting in kindergarten, we're setting the stage for the upper grades when they're going to be preparing for testing and having analysis of being able to problem solve and process when they do cognitive guided instruction and CGI, which is also something that we'll be doing in kindergarten. Number sense is that deep understanding of our number system and how it works. For kindergarten, if you have a child that is already pretty proficient in numbers to 10, we're going to go ahead and make sure that they have a firm grasp of what those things mean and those concepts. So we will go ahead and start with numbers 1 to 3 and work our way up to higher numbers as we go along.
Our social emotional curriculum is called Harmony. It is implemented all across Kyrene, including us. In kindergarten, that really consists of practical strategies for problem solving. We do a lot of stories and activities, lessons for improving relationships. Teaching empathy is a really big one. And then also, we want to increase student confidence. So, really, how to be a friend, how to be a good listener, how to be kind, how to solve your own problems maybe first without involving a teacher unless it's an emergency, things like that. We in kindergarten we have a curriculum for it, like I just said, Harmony, but it also is something that we implement just every day, just as the day goes on in whatever situation we need it for. Our additional instructional practices that are throughout school. So we adhere to state standards, just like the rest of Kyrene, just the state standards of Arizona. We use writing as a focus to support our Spalding program that Mrs. Cano just talked about. Handwriting is also aligned with Spalding, so you will see improvement in handwriting throughout the year. We are an AVID school, so we do a lot of note taking and thinking maps, and that might look a little bit different in kindergarten than it does for other grade levels. Recitations are required each quarter for all grade levels, so we usually give about 3 choices. You'll get them about 2 weeks ahead of time, and the student gets to pick, they get to memorize it, and then they get to have the opportunity to come up to the front of the classroom and recite it for all of their peers. Technology in our classroom, we have Chromebooks, and they are a 1-to-1 ratio, so every student will have a Chromebook that they get to use. They'll log in using a username and a password. We usually start that process around the end of August, beginning of September. And we will be providing the ID number and the password card for at homes in case you want to also be able to log into our math curriculum online or any sort of other things that Kyrene has to offer in our links.
Homework. It's funny, but our little ones are chomping at the bit to start homework just like the big kids. So you've noticed that you have an agenda that comes home every day. It does not have homework listed as of yet, but that will be where you will find what the students are to do for the evening. We only have a homework assigned on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday and through the weekend will be time off. You might be receiving a book baggie or something that you can read with your child at home. You will be assigned specific phonograms when you get your phonogram cards. When we start those, we want to only have you practice the ones that we've done in class. So try not to work ahead. It's a little challenging at the very beginning, but after a little time and practice, you'll be amazed at how well the students are putting those pieces together. You'll read to or write with your child every night. At the very beginning of the year, they don't know how to read. It's fine to go ahead and read to them. Ask them questions about the story, see if they can answer them. You'll be receiving math and reading worksheets. Again, they'll be labeled on the homework agenda so you know exactly what the expectations are. If there's something that needs a little bit of clarification or we send you games, by all means, if you have questions, you can get back to us. Sometimes someone will ask a question and then we'll send out information to everybody because we're thinking that you probably have a similar type question. Um, on the next slide, we'll be talking about checking for homework. So, what we're asking you to do are some of the following things. All right, parents, we're asking you and guardians to sign that agenda every day. That tells us that you've seen it for behavior and that you understand what the homework is for this evening. Work completion for students is to the best of their ability. Look for a quality effort and make sure they're doing coloring because even something as simple as coloring is working on that grip and building up the muscle strength in your students' hands. Students are to write their name on all their work. Some students can't write their names yet, but they will do that soon. Parents are asked to check work, try to see if it's accurate. If not, give them a prompt. Maybe they'll need a little assistance. It's fine to give prompts and help, but please don't do the work for them. And then supervise handwriting. If you know your child has the ability to do a little bit better job, expect that and reinforce that because we'll do that in school. And then if you find that the time period for homework is lasting a little bit longer than you think it should take about 10-15 minutes. At the beginning, it might take a little bit longer. It's okay to set a timer on a microwave for maybe 10 minutes, get some good quality, and give them a little movement break. You can always come back and do it later on. We don't want students to feel frustrated or upset by doing their work. All right, thanks. School volunteers. We love volunteers. We wouldn't know what to do without you, but we won't start having helpers in the classroom until at least October. That gives our students the opportunity to acclimate to a new environment and adjust to those routines and procedures. It also sets up the foundation and the tone for us to be successful in the classroom. A lot of times they're missing moms and they're trying to work through some of those sad days, but they'll come around. And as it gets closer to October, teachers will reach out and we'll send you a form. You can let us know what you'd be interested in, as well as the schedule that you'd like to find. You're welcome to come in one day and one time only, or you can also choose to maybe chaperone with us when we go on a field trip or work in our classroom weekly. That'll be totally up to you.
Right here is something that you will see when you log into Parent View. So your Parent View account is where you had to go to register your child. And we just ask that you read those 4 acknowledgments, the family handbook, the technology user agreement, social emotional learning survey, and then the stay connected. And just acknowledge that you read them. We're just asking every parent to do that this year. You can follow us on social media for any information. So Facebook, we update a lot. Just Covering Traditional Academy on Facebook. You can watch our announcements daily on our YouTube channel. So that's again just Covering Traditional Academy on YouTube. You can also opt in for text messages. So that's probably the fastest way to get communication from school. If there's an important event like Picture Day coming up or an extra early release day, if you text Y to 67587, you can get text communications from us. Okay, I think that's what we got, right, Mrs. Cano?
I think so. It's a lot of information. We provided a lot for you, but for many of you, this might be your first exposure to school. So feel free if you need to look at it more than once. If you have any questions, there's never such thing as a question that's not important to us. You can reach us at our email addresses down below. And we just want you to know that we value your time. We look forward to working with you, and we appreciate you sharing your children with us this year. It's going to be a great year. Go
Thank
KTA.
you.
Go Tigers.